Hey guys, Liquid Fire here. Thanks for joining me again tonight. So, we are getting into tracking blood tonight. And I do want to forewarn you guys, this is a long video. I knew it was going to be a longer one. I didn't really expect it to be as long as it actually is. Um, so, be forewarned if you're going to try to watch this one from end to end. It's going to be a marathon watch. But we're talking about blood. So, I wanted to try to kind of walk through some tips and techniques for tracking animals once you shoot them. And there's all kinds of things you can do in terms of watching them and listening to the sounds, checking where their herd went, things like that. But I wanted to take that aspect out of it and focus just on the blood. So that's what this is really focused on. Exploring the blood, the different types of blood patterns you get on the ground, and a little bit on actually tracking them. The basics are really simple. You find blood, you mark it, you move to the next one, and you just keep following it. The blood itself has directionality built in. So when you see the different spots on the ground, you get the idea of what direction it's going, and that's really handy. Yeah, for example, if you look at something like this check mark one or hook one or whatever you want to call it, it's pretty easy to see the direction that it's going. You've got the big blob in the back, and then you've got the line facing up. And each of the different types of blood gives you an indicator of the direction the animal's going. Some of them are very obvious, like this one. It's basically pointing you directly in the right direction. Some of them are not quite as obvious, and it kind of stands out when you're trying to track using just the blood that some of these are really difficult to pick up directionality on. Some feel backwards even. So I mean, it's just one of those things where you have to kind of take into consideration the direction the animal's going and really pay attention to the blood if you don't know the direction it's going. And you can always just go the two opposite directions because all of them are kind of stretched out and long. So worst case, you go the wrong direction and head back to where you came from, and eventually you find where you shot the animal at, or you're going the right direction. So it's not a huge deal if you struggle figuring out which direction they're going. Again, most of the time, you know the direction the animal's going anyway, so it's not a big deal. So Lanny had put together a cheat sheet for decoding the blood information. So I want to walk through that because it's a lot of really good information to have just so you understand things. The reality is in game, it doesn't really matter so much because they all do the same thing. They give you that initial hit information, and then you have to follow the blood regardless. Now, there are some differences between them as you go through, but let's take a look at them and kind of talk about each of them in brevity. So the first one we'll look at is the lots of blood. So if you see lots of pink blood, and this is one where the animal dies quickly, not instantly, but the animal will die quickly. If you see lots of pink blood, that's generally going to be your heart or double lung shot, and those are really easy to track down. They generally don't go very far at all, and they're what you like to see. That's a really good shot, and in this game, good shots really matter. So lots of pink blood. There will be bubbles in it, so it'll be a really obvious, very obvious quick kill because it tells you that it's going to die quickly. There is supposedly another animal will die quickly scenario, and it gets lots of red blood, and that's if you hit the spine with just the Goldilocks amount of power. I was never able to actually do it trying to get that particular blood spatter. So in game, I tried and tried and tried. I tried different weapons. I tried different different bullets within the weapons, different ranges a little bit. I just could not hit that Goldilocks zone. Everything I did was either an instant death or it survived. So Lanny has ran across it at some point and has it logged, but I can't replicate it. So I couldn't show you guys what that looked like. Um, Now, when we get into the ones where they don't survive, but they run a longer distance, so those guys, you've got the medium amount of blood, pink with air bubbles, and that's going to be your lung shots, and heart. Heart and lung both will do the same thing. And if you get the medium pink with no bubbles, that means you hit an artery. And the arteries are really good ones when it comes to tracking because they drop a lot of blood. So your spacing from blood drop to blood drop is much, much, much closer with an artery shot. And that does make them easier to track. The next one is a medium, of course, dark red. So this is actually a really dark colored blood on the ground, and that's if you hit the liver. And that is a very difficult shot to pull off on purpose. But if you do it accidentally, the dark red does mean liver. You can have just regular red with food bits, and that's going to be your stomach and intestines. And now it stands out on the ground pretty well because there's a lot of dark spots. So that one, isn't exactly hard to track in terms of seeing it, because it does have all those dark spots. Now the bad thing about the gut shot, it may be easy to see, but they run a long ways. So just like in real life, a gut shot is not going to be something that kills them quickly. They are going to run a mile. So keep that in mind. If you do get a gut shot, you're going to be tracking a long ways. Now, worse than that is if you get just a flesh kill. And that's going to be your red with no impurities. And in that case, you've not hit any organ, or you've not done enough damage to an organ to kill it, I should say. But that's your red with no impurities, and you are going to be chasing it a long ways. So I think they're probably the ones that run the absolute furthest, and they're also the ones that you're most likely to spook them if they do stop because they go for so long. So keep that in mind. If you are on a flesh kill, you're going to be chasing for a while. And that's it. That's all the different types of blood you're going to see in game. Now, the thing, I think I mentioned it before, and I want to reiterate it because it's really, really important to understand. You don't need to understand that pink with no bubbles is artery, dark red's liver, pink with air bubbles is lung. That is nice to know, but it doesn't change how you track. You still track everything exactly the same way. And it's just a matter of getting into a good habit and routine and kind of learning some of the basics and then doing what works for you. Ideally, if you're making good shots, they're not running very far anyway, and tracking isn't a big deal most of the time. Now, the reality behind that is, as a new player, you're probably not going to be making a lot of great shots out of the gate. And that means you're going to be tracking a lot more than you will after you've kind of get more comfortable with the game and you're better understanding where to shoot, how to shoot. You're not rushing things. So blood tracking is important. Understanding the details behind it isn't as big of a deal. The bigger thing is to get into a good routine that makes it easy for you to find your animals. And that starts with one simple thing. So before anything else, you shoot the deer or whatever it is, put a blue marker on the ground where you shot him at. You can put it down before you even shoot if you want, doesn't matter. But you want to make sure you mark that initial spot where you hit him at. That's going to be the most important part out of all the blood tracking there is. You have to be able to figure out where you hit him at in order to start tracking. If you don't do that, then you're going to be wandering around in the woods or fields or wherever, just trying to find some sort of blood. I do it myself sometimes and forget, but make the concerted effort to get that mark down on the first big splatter where you hit him at. You can go to that, and immediately find out whether or not you even need to track the deer. So if it says the animal survived, you're not going to be able to track the blood and follow the animal. In this game, the blood will dry up pretty quickly. Generally, I think it's like 6 to 8 spots of blood at the most now, depending on where and how much you hit him, I guess. I don't know what the deal is with that. It used to seem like it was around 4. Now it seems to be a few more, but they disappear. So if you go up to that initial blood splatter where you hit him at, and it says the animal survived, don't bother. You're not going to find the animal following the blood. You can start looking at where the herd ran and following the noise and stuff like that, but you're not going to follow the blood. So go to where you shot it at, take a look, and that's where you're going to find out, okay, is it lethal or not? Is it quick or slow? And hopefully it's instant. You don't have to chase them at all. But that's the first step. Go mark your shot. So mark your shot, go to it, and take a look at that initial blood splatter and see whether or not it's even dead. Once you have that, the rest of it's the same. Doesn't matter what type of shot it is, whether it's artery, lung, stomach, doesn't matter. You're just going to continue to follow the trail. Now, the problems start when you start getting into water or into woods and they're bouncing around a lot. So if we talk about water, they don't generally leave blood in the water. So if you're shooting around a creek, it's very easy for them to cross the creek and make it hard to find the blood, or to run up the creek or run up the creek and die in the creek. So all those pieces start to come into play when you're working around water. And the only real answer I have for that is to walk the sides of the creek until you find the blood again. So if they're running pretty perpendicular to the creek, usually they're going to run on across or just bounce off and come back. It depends on how deep the water is, things like that. They don't normally hit the creek and then run parallel to it. They're a pond. They don't normally hit the pond and run parallel to it. They normally hit it and bounce off, or if it's a creek that they can cross, they just go straight on across. So when you're tracking around water, you have to kind of think about it in terms of whether or not they can cross and the direction they're going. If it's early in the shot, it's difficult to get that direction. It takes them a few moments, I guess, to pick up the direction that they're going to run in. So you may have them turning and things like that. But once they get in the water, there's no blood marks. So you have to consider where they're going, the direction they're going, and where you think they're going to come out at. And if you struggle finding the blood where you expect it to be, don't worry about it too much. Back up, make sure you mark that last blood that you do know where it is, and start walking the sides of the creek until you pick up on the blood again. If you have hunter sense, that makes it really easy. It'll flash at you, and it shouldn't be too terribly hard to find most of the time. But keep in mind, the further they run along that creek in the water, the longer the gap is going to be where you have no indicators at all. So mark the closest shot to the water you can find, and then start walking the banks if they didn't seem to go directly across. And in terms of marking the blood as you go, as a beginning hunter, a new tracker, so to speak, I would recommend marking blood, not every single spot, but mark the blood every so often as you're tracking animals with the blue marker. So just press and hold your marker button, it'll turn blue. That way, if you do lose the trail, you can always just go back to that blue marker, pick it up again, and take off. And we'll talk about that with some examples here in the end. But it's really handy to mark your blood as you go. It will make things a lot easier in the long run because you can figure out where you were and start over again. And that's really important when you get into some of the harder tracking areas, or if you're tracking at night. Tracking at night is really difficult. But if you get into, like, say you're in the woods and there's a bunch of rocks and stuff too. So you're in woods, you're in these rocks, they're bouncing around, they're turning left and right. They're not making a nice single straight run. That's where marking the blood as you go can really help you out, because you're going to have to back up and try again several times on a track like that, especially if it's getting dark. So be sure to mark your blood as you go when you're learning how to track, especially. Now, if you get to the point where you kind of lose yourself, so you've got some blood and you just can't find that next spot. You know it's a kill. It says that they die further away, so you know that there's going to be blood. That's when you want to start kind of circling out and trying to find the next spot. Now, generally what I will say is to make concentric circles around that blood until you find the next spot. That's a really good technique. You can get in front of it and zigzag. There's a few different things you can do. But the two that I rely on the most is to look at the last spot of blood and get my directionality and just walk straight that direction about where I expect the blood to be and really look hard there. And you'll notice on the different types of blood, the spacing's pretty even most of the time. So you'll get a decent idea of where to expect the next piece of blood. Now, it does change. And when they're changing directions and stuff like that, it gets really hard sometimes. But you can walk forward using the directionality from the blood splatter and get an idea of where it should be, and sometimes find it like that. If not, you can do the whole zigzag back and forth until you find it. You can circle around when you're really struggling. Circling around is the best way to find it when they make a turn on you. So if they're not in front of you, zigzagging in front of it, or just walking to where you think it should be, it's never going to work. That's where the concentric circles really help out. If you are in rocks and woods and stuff like that, they're bouncing around a lot more, and that's when it becomes really hard to find that next piece of blood sometimes. So keep in mind, if you lose it, it's not a big deal. Just mark the last one you have, and then just start circling out from there. Start zigzagging in front of yourself. Go to where you think it should be. All those little things just take time and a little bit of experience. And if you still can't find it, you've done everything you can, you've looked everywhere, you're circling out, and it's just not showing up, there is a failback to get you going in a worst case scenario, and that's to drop all the way down to hiker mode. So in hiker mode, you don't just get the blood on the ground and the flash when you have hunter sense on, you get these giant cones. So when you have that going on, you just about can't miss out on where the blood is. Something else you can do, and it's not something that always works, it's not really easy sometimes, but you can also leverage the in-game camera, especially if you're not in ranger mode. But if you take it to the last blood you're at, face your character the direction that the blood should show up at, bring out the camera and try to get straight above you, looking straight down. If you do that, sometimes you'll be able to see the blood. It could just be behind a rock, or grass maybe blocking it or something like that. But using the camera to look straight down is another way that'll help you find the blood. It's not nearly as easy as hiker mode, but it does work. So that's something you can try. It's hit and miss, I guess you could say, but it is something to have in the wheelhouse of options. So yeah, if you get into trouble, hiker mode is the ultimate bailout. If you can't find it with hiker mode, I don't know what to tell you, because it doesn't get much easier than that. So we'll showcase some hiker mode in the video as well. So I mentioned earlier that this is a very long video. It is. It's very, very long. When I say it's long, that's a bad sign. But to kind of explain what's going on in the first big long section, what I'm actually doing is taking a shot at a Gemsbok in Tikamoon and trying to get different types of kills. So we can actually see what the initial blood splatter looks like for a lung shot, for artery shot, for liver, for stomach, all that stuff. and then we'll go through and track him. We're using the sand dunes, so it's easy to see the blood on the ground. But we'll go through and track him so you can see all the different types of blood and get a really good feel for the directionality of those, because that does help out if you understand the direction everything's facing. So we're going to go through and do all of them. So the quick death from a hard or double lung, a single lung, artery, liver, stomach, and the flesh. Like I said earlier, never did get the spine shot to work. I tried for, oh my gosh, I don't even want to imagine how many animals I shot to try to do it. But I tried for probably 2 hours and just could not get it to Goldilocks into the right zone. So I apologize, but I just don't have an example for that. But that's the big long part of it all. So we go through and showcase what every single piece of it looks like, so you can see it firsthand and have an idea of what that looks like. And then we get into some actual tracking in the field, not in sand where it's super easy. So the later part, we take out a pig and go through and track it and show what that looks like in real time. And then we showcase that same exact tracking with hiker mode. And then we go down into Nez Perce and we shoot around the water. So it's not a great big wide creek. It's not anything that's hard to find, but it does showcase exactly what happens around water. So you can see that, kind of get a feel for how that looks in game and how to find it. And we do showcase with hiker mode on, just to make it super obvious where all the blood is, so you can really get an idea of what it feels like for that. And we track some through the woods. We also get into what to do when they start pacing with blood and then run off. So there's a technique where, so let me back up. What I'm talking about is you shoot an animal and it doesn't immediately die. It's going to run off and die. And instead of just running and falling over, it stops usually with a herd and starts pacing around. So you get to that point and there's just blood everywhere. It looks like a massacre. And that's usually going to happen with gut shots or flesh kills. A flesh kill on a solo, oftentimes they just run to the end and drop. It'll be a long, long, long run, but oftentimes they just run and drop. When they're in a herd, that's when you more often get the pacing. So the herd will stop, they'll stop with the herd, they'll pace around, and you have this big, huge, just blood everywhere. And in order to track them out of that, it becomes really difficult. And if you follow a technique where you go around the perimeter of all that blood and just mark with your blue marker all the way around it, you will eventually find the spot where they shoot out. So assuming they come out, otherwise they just died in the middle and you just have to find them. So we talk through that technique and showcase what that actually looks like in game. We do that a couple times. We do it once in Tickamoon where it's big, open, and easy to see. And then we do it in Nez Perce. It's in hiker mode, so it's easy to see where all the blood is. But we talk about that same concept there, so you can see it a couple times in a couple different places. I did not try to go through and showcase the blood on all the different terrain features, like rock and grass and fields and all that. It is harder to find in rocks sometimes, but I just didn't want to go through and try to get blood everywhere there is. The same concepts apply. The only thing to keep in mind is when you're in rocks and woods and big cliffs and valleys, you will get a lot more bouncing around. So they're going to change direction a lot more often when there's hard objects in the way. So do keep that in mind. The first long section we did, I picked the dunes so they wouldn't be doing that. So we could really just watch the directionality and showcase what the concept really looks like. So I'm going to stop here and go ahead and jump over to that stuff. Again, it is a very long video. So take a look at the index, the chapter markers, and pick out what you want to look at if you don't want to watch everything. It's a long one, so I apologize. But in order to show all the different blood and track them all the way to the end and show what the shot looked like, it's either speed things up or let it go slow. I figured we'd go slow, talk through things. If you're interested in that, you can go through and watch it. If you're not interested, skip to the parts that you're looking for, fast forward, jump around. All the chapter markers are there, so it should be pretty easy to navigate. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off here and get that going. All right, so we're here in Tickaman Plains. We're going to try to get a decent lung shot on this guy, but hopefully not immediately kill him. Oh, he's inspecting me. That's not useful. Let's see what happens here. But we want to try to get a shot. So he's probably going to drop too fast. But we wanted to get some blood splatter so we can watch how that looks. It looks like he's going to walk off far enough. He did not go very far. Alright, well, we got some blood. Let's go take a look at it. Alright, so here we're going to have, well, it's kind of on the grass, but our big splatter. So lots of blood, pink, air bubbles. So pink, lots of blood, air bubbles, and the animal expires quickly. And we've got these big splatters of blood. Slightly smaller. But these are the big ones that are super easy to track. And you can see they look a little bit different, and they've kind of changed size a little bit. But these are super, super easy to see, and really, really easy to track. And if you click on them, they're going to say pink, lots of blood, air bubbles. So that's what the lots of blood looks like. Now something to pay attention to is the shape and pattern. So we know exactly what this animal did. We shot him back here and he ran straight away. So the directionality is really, really easy to understand. So if we look at it from the side here, if you can imagine the blood dropping from the animal as it's running from right to left, you get the splatter, the big impact, and then the splatter splashing the direction it's going. Okay? That's how you can tell by looking at the blood which direction the animal ran. Now this is very easy again, and we're on the sand to make it really clear so you can see what it looks like. But you can see how it hits here, and the splatter goes the direction it's going. Okay? Let me get that out of the way. So you can see it hits, and the splatter goes this way. Now this one's a little bit different. So with it, it almost looks like it's going the other direction. See, it kind of looks like the splatter's going this way. That one's odd. But here's another one that looks normal. You've got your dots, your big blood, and the splatter going away. Dots, big blood, splatter going away. Now this is a different style. This is like kind of like a brushed look. And this is one that you'll normally see even on a medium. And it's the same thing. You've got the big impact of the blood where it hits, and then the dots leading away from it. And again, you can look at this and tell directionality. He's obviously going this direction. Now if we go back and look at one of these, you'll see how it looks different. So this has got all the extra splatter and stuff. And we go to this one, it's got the extra splatter. This is the one that kind of looks odd because it looks like it's going the other direction. But you can see the big hit, and it doesn't have the splatter, it just has the dots. And this one right up here near him, where he fell down, you've got, you know, the dots, you got, looks like splatter and all that. And this is obviously going to be a, well, this is a hard hit. Obviously going to be a quick kill though. So this one has a lot of blood, and quick and easy to tell that he died. So you've got the pink with lots of air bubbles in all of these. And that's going to be your heart and or lungs. So that's what we were trying to get. I was really thinking more lungs, but hitting the heart's fine. But that's kind of what that's going to look like. So we're going to reset this, and we're going to take some different shots at him. We're going to try to hit the liver, show that. We're going to try to hit the arteries here and show what that looks like. And we'll try to get a flesh kill too. So we're going to try to get a lot of different blood spatters so you can really see what they look like. And hopefully we can really showcase what blood tracking looks like in game. So I'm going to close this out, relaunch, and we'll pick up again in a minute. Alright, we're back, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the 308 and try to get a lung shot. And what I want to do is not have it be quite as terminal immediately. So we're just going to give him a second to stand up so we can get a nice lung shot, avoid the heart, avoid any arteries, and hopefully get a bleed kill instead of a critical, and hopefully a bleed kill that is not fast. We want it to be the slow version, just to showcase the different type of blood there. If this guy will stand up for me. Come on, guy. Anytime now. Alright, here we go. Well, if you could turn sideways, that'd be handy. There we go. Alright, so we're going to watch him. You see the blood on the ground. He's running down over the hill, so we can't see anything. Alright, now if you look, we've got blood right there. We've got blood here, blood here. So that's definitely going to be a kill shot. And you can see the blood going off in the distance. And he's going to go over there and drop down here in a little bit. We're not too worried about that. We want to look at the blood. So we're just going to go ahead and go find him. So this should be another lung shot. Well, I guess that one was hard, but this should be a lung shot. And it should be that the animal expires further away. Alright, so where is our... here's our blood. Alright, so here's our initial shot. And when you're tracking these, I haven't been doing it on these guys, but normally you want to put down a tracking marker right here where this is, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this is pink, medium amount of blood. So instead of a lot of blood, medium amount. Air bubbles. So we know that it's heart or lung. And the animal expires slower, and it might be further away. So that's exactly what we're after. Now here is a different style. So this is the medium blood. One of the types you get with medium blood. And it's really easy to track because it does the same type of pattern every time, and it's still the big chunky part is at the back, and this line points you the direction that the animal's going. So at this point he was heading this direction. You can find another one here, and again it's going to point you in the direction he's going. So you've got the bigger part of the splatter in the back, and then you've got the directional splatter where he's running. So that's the way that always is going to look. So we've got our impact, and we've got 2 blood spots. Now here's another one I was talking about that we saw with the first one. So again, it's pink, medium amount of blood, but you see how this is that thicker, wider, it's kind of like a drag instead of just the blood dropping like this one is. That one's actually a little bit different. But this is that thicker drag, but still same concept here. You've got the thick area in the back. And then over here to the left, you get the splatter part telling you which direction it's going. So you know that this guy is heading this direction. Now this one is harder to tell the directionality on unless you have it really clear like it is here. With it, the little arrow that it makes is pointing backwards. So imagine that this is a thicker glob. And this part up here that kind of runs out, that's your directionality. So it's just that weird little, I don't know how to describe it really, but that's one that you will see. And although it looks like an arrow pointing the other direction, if you look at it like this, it kind of looks like there's an arrow. It's actually the opposite. So the thicker part is at the back, and this is showing the directionality. And then we go back to the normal little hook thing. I don't know what you want to call these, but it tells you the direction to go. Here's that thicker one. It kind of looks like it's been rubbed on the ground. And we'll just kind of walk through here and watch these. And you can see again and again. Let me turn 100 cents on. With 100 cents on, you can see how it flashes and all that. That'll make it a lot easier when you're looking in the distance to see it. So if you watch, you see how it runs out. It's like a pulse emanating from you. So that makes it really easy to tell where things have gone. Now if I turn that off, you can still see the blood pretty easily. That's because it's on sand. This is with 100 cents off. You don't even have to have it on. Here's an example where it got on some grass. And you'll see this a lot in the woods and brush. They do a great job of painting the leaves of stuff. So here's that weird one. Again, the little arrow looking thing at the back, and then that's your directionality. So we know he's going this way. And we'll just follow these. Now you notice there was a bigger gap there. That's normal for the blood to sometimes be different distances. So there's that kind of brushy look one again. Now this was a really good shot, so we shouldn't have, too far of a run anyway, and we should have a nice solid blood pattern like we do. And again, this is the easiest place to follow blood. That's why I picked it to do this, so you could see it real clearly. And again, this is 100 cents off. Let me turn 100 cents on, and you can see how it flashes. Super, super easy. And then when we get up here, you can see it was just a standard bleed kill. Now, we did put a lot of damage into it. We put a good bit into the liver, too. If I'd been a little further back, we could have had a liver kill. But you can see it's just a solid shot into the lung. Did everything we needed. And you've got a really solid blood trail that's easy to follow. So when you see these, even if you didn't see where the animal went, you can see the shape of the blood and get a really good idea of where he's going. Now, sometimes they zigzag and circle back and things like that, but you can continue to follow it and be able to find everything just by following the blood. Now, I'm actually going to run back here real quick because he ran about, looks like 200 yards. And I'll show you what I would do if I were new to tracking blood and this were not such an easy place to tracking. Now that you know what this trail looks like, what the blood looks like, so almost back there. Alright, so we're going to assume that we put our marker down where we shot him at, because that's just a good habit, so you know where to start from. And then you find some blood. Go ahead and throw a blue marker down on it. Just the same marker, the same way you set your marker, just press and hold that button and you can drop a blue marker. And then go to find the next one. If you see a couple more, go ahead and then mark another one. So let's say we see this one here, we mark it, but now I'm lost. I can't find the other blood. I have no idea. I've wandered this way. I thought he went over here. I couldn't find it. Maybe I followed this trail thinking that it was blood, not paying attention because I had hunter sense on. And I'm just completely in the wrong spot. I have no idea where it's at. Well, since I was marking these with the blue marker, I can just go back to this last one and know that I was on blood. So I can come back to this guy and I don't see the next one. What I can do is I can start kind of circling out from here. So come out, 10 yards or so, and just kind of start making a circle and looking to see if you can find another spot of blood. I know it's really easy here, but when you're in the woods or rocks and stuff, sometimes it's not so easy. But you take that circle and just go all the way around until you find the blood. So let's say we found this one. Okay, finally we found something. We mark it, and then we look at it closely to find our directionality. We know that it's going this direction, so we would start this way. And then, okay, we found another one here. We'll mark this one. We see a clear trail for a little bit here, so maybe we go a little bit further, and we mark, well, let's say we mark this one. Well, I missed it, but we mark that one. And then we see this one up here. We'll go ahead and mark it. And then if I lose it again, so maybe he turned or something, if I get lost, I've got a trail to where I have a really good idea of where he's going already. And if we, even if I don't have sight on the next blood trail, I've got a pretty decent idea of the direction he's going. So I would say there's a pretty, well, I just cleared one. I'd say there's a pretty safe bet that if we continue following that trail, it's going to be somewhere around here. So I can kind of go to this last blood that I had marked, which was way back here, since I deleted the one. And just follow, we know we had, looks like this one marked, but follow the direction where you think he might have been going, and that'll help you sometimes find it as well. If you don't find it circling around, you can always look at where you think he's going. Like, this is where we thought he might be going, and look how close it is to where he actually went. I mean, right here's the blood trail. We're 6 meters off. So that's something else you can do that'll help it be easier to find stuff when you're shooting. So use those markers, especially when you're learning. And if you get into an area that's hard, or it's getting dark, this can really bail you out. And you don't have to mark it as often as I did. You can mark it when you find one that you think is going to be difficult to find the next one or whatever. But use these blue markers to help you out. So let's go ahead and drop off this one. And we're going to come back and see if we can't get either a liver or an artery, maybe a stomach. Yeah, we'll do stomach. That'll probably be a good one to do next. So we can see what that looks like and try to cover all the scenarios. So we're going to pause things and we'll be back in just a minute. Alright, so we're back again. And we're going to try to get that artery shot if he stays standing. Well, that's going to be a really tough artery shot. I could try the back leg artery. Oh, he goes with us. And now he lays down on top of it all. Alright, let's see if we can get a stomach shot here. Not sure. I think I saw his head go over that way. I'm not sure where he went. I don't see a big splatter, so I'm guessing I didn't get it, but we'll run over here and look. And this time I did remember to mark it at least. Alright, let's see what we got up here. Nah. So, animal survived. I missed the stomach. But you can see you get the one spot of blood here. So this is just small amount clear. And then if we follow that, we'll see another one up here. So here we go. And then if you keep looking, yep, right here's another spot of blood. Here's another spot. We'll mark it. And then that's blood here and poop. And we're probably running out of blood at this point. So no more blood. That's it. And that's what happens on a non-lethal shot. You'll have blood for a little bit. You can track it, but you lose the blood. And you can hunt all you want. You're not going to find more. He's standing over here still alive. Alright, so we're back again. We've changed out our gear to get something a little more powerful. And we're going to see if we can't get a stomach or liver shot here. Oh, of course you're going to lay down. We'll still try it. We'll go ahead and mark. Well, I don't know if I'll hit. Auto walk. We're going to go ahead and mark where he's at. Then we're going to try a low shot here. I've got no ammo. Okay. Well, let's see if we have any ammo in the CO2. Yeah, alright. So we got the 338. That's going to be a kill. Can't see where he's going very well. We'll bring up the camera and just watch. He's running further than I expected. But we should see, you can just barely see blood out through here. And if we look in the scope, I don't know if we'll get it. Yeah, there you go. So let me turn Hunter Sense on and make it real clear. There's his path. So we're going to mark up here because we know it's there. And I like to mark another one along the way just so you have a line to go on. Let's go take a look at the blood, and hopefully we didn't hit lungs. Really didn't plan on using a 338. I was going to use it for a flesh kill, or try to anyway. But let's see what we get. So here's our initial blood splatter. Now you see this one looks different. Just the collaring of it. Let me turn Hunter Sense off. Oh, that's because it's on grass. Okay. I was going to say that looks really different. We got food fragments. So we did get the stomach. So we've got the blood color of red, not pink. We got medium amount of blood. And we got food fragments, and the animal expires slower and might be further away. So we look over here, we see, let me turn my Hunter Sense on so you can see the flash, make it a little bit easier. So there's our little drag. But you see how, let me turn Hunter Sense off again. You see how it's got that It's got the food in it. It's what it is. I thought maybe this was grass, but it was just the food. But you can really see that it looks different. And if we analyze it, we've got the medium amount of blood and food fragments. And that's just that brush look. So you get the big, thick in the brush direction. So if we look at that, we know that it should be going this way. So we head up through here. Here's another one. Now this one looks a little bit different. Okay, so this is more of a thicker splatter and the dots. Again, the thicker splatter in the back, the dots pointing us in the right direction. There's that brush look. The brush look. There's that thicker splatter and the dots. Again, the thicker splatter and the dots. This big singular dot up here is a really good clue to help remind you which direction it's going. There's kind of the brush. Here's this one with the big dot, but it's the splatter and the directionality. So we're just going to kind of, here's the brushy looking one again. So you can see these look a little bit different. And the coloration definitely looks different. You can see the dark food particles and stuff in it. So we're going to run on. Again, same thing, just following the trail. Now again, stomach shots, liver shots, those are not what you want to try for. Unless you're trying to showcase what the blood looks like. Alright, so now we've got blood here and here. So we'll mark this one. We've got the blood going on down through here. Just mark them as we go. Oh, he turned a little bit. Now we've got a clean set of trail. It looks like that might be him right. Nope, that's a rock. So we've still got a ways to go. Now if I turn hunter sense on, you'll see the line goes all the way out through here. And again, that pulse just starts at you and goes out. He ran a long ways for a 338 shot. Okay, now this is different. Oh, that's urine. I was going to say, what is this? Why does that look so different? So that's pee. Just happened to be on the trail. So again, still got blood, still having to follow him. I mean, look how far he's gone. So if we turn hunter sense on, watch the pulse. Oh, I'll turn it off. Let's turn it on. Watch the pulse. So it's going at least up into here. Looks like it's going on further. Yep, look, all the way up over the hill. All the way up over the hill. And this is a perfect example of why we say that shots matter. You want to make good, accurate lung and heart shots. This is a great example of why. I mean, if you look back to where we started at, you can't really tell where we started at from here. but we started all the way back here. So I'll put the red marker there. So we're, looks like 733 yards already. Now granted, there's not much here to make him turn directions and things like that. You can see some more urine. We got blood and urine both. Just can't get it to show the urine. There's some poop. Alright. Finally, there he is. And we got the stomach. We hit intestines, but we didn't destroy them. You'll have the same blood pattern, the medium with red blood and food bits if you hit the intestines. They're both the same. But you can see we definitely lit up the stomach here. Got the intestines some. But check out how far I ran. 805 meters. And mind you, that's crushing it with a 338. Yeah, we hit the intestines, we hit the stomach, all within the recommended hit energy. Busted him up with a 338 and still ran forever. So that's kind of the thing you got to keep in mind when you're taking bad shots. You're going to be tracking a long ways if you even get the kill. I actually tried this a couple times with the 270 and I didn't even get the kill. And I was hitting intestines for sure. I was trying to hit stomach, but I may have missed. But I was definitely hitting at least intestines. And wasn't even getting the kill. So aim for the lungs and the heart. I'm going to try to get a liver shot and an artery shot and then a flesh kill. So we're going to drop off and come back and try some more. Alright, so let's see what he offers us this time. Ugh, that's not a great angle for anything. We can try maybe for flesh, or maybe we can try for the artery in the neck. So let's try for the artery in the neck and a quick follow-up shot to go for flesh if we don't get a good shot here. Oh, he's going to get up. Alright. I waited too long. If he'll turn nice and sideways, we'll go for that liver shot, but if I try it from here, I'm just going to hit lungs and stuff anyway. Alright, hold still. Oh, you turned too far. It's not ideal. Yeah, this doesn't really give me much of anything to shoot at. Oh, too far back on the hill. There we go. I guess I can try for that neck artery. Well, I might could hit the arteries right here. I think that may have done it. That may have done it. We'll see what we got. That may be into the lungs. Find out here in a minute. But that looks like there's enough blood there to do something. Let's see what we got. And we know we can track him, so we're not worried about where he went. Although we know he took off up here to the right. Let's see what we got. Hopefully it's not pink with air bubbles. But I may have so much penetration that it is. Okay, so that's a different look. Alright, so pink, medium amount of blood. It's clear. So that should be an artery kill. That's what we were looking for. So you see how different this looks compared to the others. So pink, medium amount, clear. Now we've got a different style, but again, still directionality, thicker at the back, leading the direction it went. Again and again and again and again. Now you see these are really super close. So let me turn Henderson's on so you can see just how close these are. See how tight that is? That's more typical of a artery shot. The others, the lungs and the stomach and all, they were further apart. You can see these are very, very, very close together. They're kind of hard to see on this particular ground, but you get the same general idea. You get the splatter and the directionality where it's just kind of splashing its way the direction he's running. Again, these all look different, but the same concept. Thick at the back, splattering the way he's going. Thick and splattering. Now we gotta find the next one. Where did he go? Did he turn left? Right? Oh, right here it is. It's just really hard to see these. Now this one's really difficult to pick up any directionality. Let me get in the shadow. See how hard that would be if you weren't really familiar with it? It'd be really hard to tell what you're looking at. But with this one, it's the bigger in the back, and then that's the splatter towards the front. So you know that he's going this direction. So let me turn Henderson's back on so you can see the glow. So you can see all the way up through there. That's the direction he was going. Let's see if I can change my lighting. That makes it a little better there. Okay. So, a little easier to see. Let me turn Henderson's off. You can kind of see what we're looking at. So turn Henderson's back on. We're just going to go ahead and follow him because we see what the blood looks like now. And you see it's super close together. That's a good sign that it's an artery shot. Go back to my normal colors. And you can see it's still going up through here. And if you look through the scope, you can see further. So you can see it's all the way up in here, and it looks like he takes a little bit of a right. Well, I hit the right spot right about there. Looks like he took a right and went down behind this dune. But again, here you can see it a little better in the different type of texture. You can see it's thicker in the back, and you get the directionality. Here you can see the one with the, looks kind of like a tadpole. Here you can really see it on the grass. They did a really good job with the blood. It's even better when they get into the bigger brush. Maybe he'll run into this one. I didn't think I saw it, but it looks like he turned before he got into it. Just missed it. So you see he went up through here, he turned to the right, and that's him way down here. Let's see if he got into any of these bushes. Nope, he turned too soon to get into them. You can see it on the rock here. But that's what the artery shot looks like. So let's go check out the shot itself. Just look how close that is. I mean, it's just where he slowed down, it's just like a straight line. And we did catch the artery. Looks like cavity damage did it all. Good thing we were using the 338, but that's what we were trying to do, was catch. I was hoping to catch more of this, but we just wanted to catch these arteries in here. So we've gotten the artery. And you'll notice it doesn't have the icon. So we've got the flesh icon, we've got artery, but you don't see artery in here. It doesn't do it like that, so you don't get the exact area you hit it at. And you can do the artery shot not just in the neck. If you catch this artery here, the arteries around the heart, and honestly, if you catch up in here in the aorta, it counts it as the heart. And then Bumbleweed's favorite is the artery shot here on the back legs. It is a tough shot to pull off. My problem is I always want to aim more on the inside, and if you look at these, it's more on the outside where you really get the artery shot. So it's a tougher one to pull off. You could probably pull it off better in the lower leg, honestly. I've never really thought about trying down in the lower leg. But that's an artery shot. And how far did he run? 350 meters. So, again, not the shot you want to take. And I would honestly say the only time that I would really push for an artery shot for me is if they're walking up over a hill and about to go away. Then I'll try for the rear leg artery. But for this example, this works out just fine. All right, so we've gotten the heart and the lungs, we've gotten the stomach and intestines, we've gotten the artery now. So I need to pull off a liver shot, which is probably the most difficult of all. And then I need to do a flesh damage, which we should be able to pull that off. But the liver shot, you've got to be very accurate, and it's not like I normally shoot for livers. So I've got to try to pull the shot off just behind the lung. So this is the liver here, this organ right here. I've got to try to get the shot behind the lung, not get into the lung, not get too much into the intestines. And if they're not basically straight broadside, it's going to be really hard to pull off. And it's going to be hard to pull off anyway, even if you just can't get enough. Hang on, let me see if I go back. There we go. So finding the right spot. This is where the inspect comes in. You need to be like right in here, I believe. So if we look at this image, where that dark spot happens to be, if we come straight down, I think right around here is where I need to aim. So from the front to the back, it's about 2/3 of the way back, I believe. So let me show organs. So right here, I don't have a way to mark it on screen. I'll just use my finger. So yeah, right here. You've got a small window here. I will probably go to the SM12. I'll have to get ammo in it. I thought I had some ammo. But yeah, it's about 2/3 of the way back from the back shoulder to the front of the back legs. It's probably going to take me a few tries to get that one, if I can get one sideways. So we're going to try. All right, let me pause things here and we'll be back. All right, guys, so we are back at it again. Trying for this liver shot on the Gemsbach. It's actually a new night, so I did not get this completed last night. And I thought that I might get some time this evening to give it a little bit of a attempt. Oh, you're going to come inspect me. But had company come over, so spent time with them. And this evening, well, tonight, I watched the Duke's Mayo Bowl, had it recorded, so watched it. And thought, you know what, I'm going to give it a little bit of a try here. See if we get lucky. Get a little luckier than the Hokies were, maybe. like to see this guy give me a nice broadside turn so I can... Oh, he's going to lay down, really? That's not helpful, guy. This liver shot is tough. I obviously don't normally go for liver shots, and trying to get a clean liver shot that A, isn't an instant death, and B, leaves a trail that we can look at the blood for, it's tough. This is a tough shot. I usually end up either being too far forward and catching lungs, or too far back and catching the stomach. And I was trying to hit just the top of the liver, that upper lobe. There was less other stuff around to hit, but that's an exceedingly difficult shot to hit. All right, this guy needs to make up his mind. So I've decided to kind of go more towards the middle, like a third of the way down or something, instead of trying to clip the top of it. If this guy had a good pattern on him or something that I could use as a reference, maybe that would make it easier. But I'm struggling. Alright, guy, don't keep walking in. Turn sideways. You need to turn broadside so I can take the shot. I'd prefer you to turn sideways and stop. I don't need you to get any closer. I need you to turn sideways and stop. You got the stop part right. Now turn sideways. One way or the other. I don't care which. I don't want you quartering. I don't want you walking away. I don't want you laying down. I want you to turn sideways and stand there. There we go. Okay, now stop. Stop. Oh, that looks like it. I think we got it. That looks like it. I think we may have finally done it. And he just went up here this way. Oh, that definitely looks like it. I think I missed my dune. There we go. All right. This is big. Yes, that is no food. That is not pink. That is dark red. Medium amounts of blood, clear. Hallelujah, we finally got the liver shot. That's what we've been looking for. Alright, so let's take a look at what this blood looks like. So we know he ran up this way. So here, it's really hard to see, but you can tell it's much darker. And even when we were looking at it in the distance, you can see that's a very dark, dark blood. So we'll get up here to the sand so we can see the different types. So there's like that little brushed one. And again, it's just that same type of brush look, thicker on the back, sprinkles to the front to show the directionality. But look how dark that is. It's really, really, really dark. So here's another splatter with the dots. Now this one is splatter with the dots. It's kind of confusing because it has some of these spots off to the side. And if you just look at it, it looks like it splashes the wrong direction. Okay? So in this one, you're going to have to look at the way the dots are. And to me, this would be very confusing to look at by itself. But here, you can see you've got the splatter with the dots leading you the right direction. Splatter with the dots. This is the weird one that kind of looks like it splashes the wrong way. But if you just consider the dots as the direction, that'll point you the right way. And again, you have several of them, so it's not like one of these are all you're going to see. And most of the time you have an idea of the direction they're going anyway. But I wanted to try to showcase what the blood looks like That's why we came down here to the sand, so you can see it real clearly. And you can see how much it just stands out. I mean, that's really, really obvious looking. Now, let me flip my hunter sense on. You can see he goes a long ways with this shot. It's fairly close on the spacing. It's not nearly as close as the liver shot, or excuse me, as the artery shot, but it's closer than like a gut shot or even the lung shot. It's fairly close. He's probably had time to go down by now. There he is. But you can see he ran up here and turned. We can watch the directionality change. So here we're facing this direction. You see this one's turning. And there you've got the turn all the way around. And let's take a look at where we hit him. So we popped him. This is why I was saying I went a little bit lower. I was still a little far back. But I was trying to hit this lobe up here because you have a lot of more space here, especially above the intestines, but you've got that artery. So I popped the artery, I popped the lung. I just managed to miss it more times than I thought was reasonable. So I decided to shift over to try to hit it a little bit lower. You can see we went about a third of the way down and took the shot there. And I think if we look at this, that rib may have actually shifted it just a little. Well, maybe not. I thought it shifted it a little more inside. It looks like it shifted somewhere. Or maybe it's just the way I was looking at it. But yeah, there's a little bit of a shift here. So that helped out. Either way, I don't care. We hit the liver. We've gotten done what we needed. It wasn't a critical shot. Even with 338, it wasn't critical. It was a bleed out, and that's what we wanted, so we could show the blood on the ground. And if we look at the tracking, he went 318 meters. So yay, this is huge. Got this one done. All right, so the next two should be much easier. I need to do a spine shot, and then we need to get a flesh kill. So we will reset things and come back and give those a shot. All right, so this is going to be our last attempt of the night. And we're looking to get the spine shot on this here Gemsbach. We tried the 300 and it was always an instant kill, which doesn't surprise me. Tried the 243 and it was never an instant kill, which did surprise me. But it may have been where I was hitting him at. So I went to the 308 to kind of get in the middle ground. And I've had either instant kills or he walks it off. So if I hit him along the back, it seemed to shrug it off. If I hit him right at the shoulders where he was bent over, it seemed to be an instant kill. So I'm going to try the neck. We'll see if we got the second shot as a flesh kill, but I don't think we did. That may be enough to get a flesh kill. Can't really tell. Oh. Yes. No. We already had the flesh kill. Look at that. No, that's not flesh. Well, maybe it is. If I freaking had... Oh no. Did I have the spine kill to begin with? Oh, I did. Look at that. Red, medium amounts of blood. That's like a liver. We're going to have to follow this one out and see. Red, medium amount of blood. So dark red is liver. Red, medium amount clear. That's flesh. Maybe that is also spine. I didn't think I had an... He didn't look like he was going to go down, so I shot him again. Twice. So we should see where I shot him over here. Unless I missed. Looks like I missed. Alright. Right here's another shot. But that, whatever I hit, didn't do anything. So I thought that was my third shot on him to get the flesh kill. So let's back up a little bit and look at the blood here. So we're going to assume that this is a spine shot that's bleed damage. So you can see you've got the thick blood and the directionality. Thick blood with the dots. Pretty good spacing between them. Now granted I did hit him a second time, so... But this is like the brush one here. Here's a big blob of blood with a little bit of dots at the end. So the brush again. And these are all medium blood clear. And at this point, I'm not entirely sure what type of kill it is. I just don't know. Oh, whatever it is, it's slow because he just hopped up again. And I'm not going to shoot him again. We'll let him go over the hill and lay down. We'll just keep following. So this is actually something good to talk about. So here you see blood going all over the place. So this is what happens when you have a shot that is a very slow kill and they run out until they're done with the spook and start wandering around. And this is the type of stuff that makes it really, really difficult to find the animal afterwards. Now here, obviously, it was easy. We saw it. It's a big open area. But imagine this is in the middle of a bunch of brush and you can't see anywhere. This becomes a nightmare to try to figure out where they went. So when you run into an area like this and you have this type of problem, what I actually recommend is to put a marker down where they come into the area and then kind of walk the perimeter. So just get along the outside edge and keep looking for blood. Turn your hunter sense on so you can find the dots or the flashes and start looking at the perimeter and mark the outside edge of it. And if you just continue to walk around and not let any blood go past you, what you'll do is eventually, and it takes a while, because you've got a big area where they wander around at, eventually you'll find the edge of where they've been wandering. So we're just going to continue walking around this. And all I'm doing is marking where I don't see anything going further away. Now here we've got all kinds of craziness. We got blood going this way, we got blood going this way. But if we look over here, We see the blood going up through here, but we know that's where he went. So we're pretending we don't know that's there. Over here, we don't see anything. So we're going to mark here. Now here we see blood going away. So we would initially think that's likely where he went. So you mark it where he comes out, and then mark 1 the direction where it's going. So we see it's going this way. We'll mark 2. And if you haven't already went all the way around it to find it, you just kind of imagine you go on around and mark everywhere around where they've been. So when you look at it on your map, it makes it a little more obvious what's going on. So he circled around in this area and then got up again and ran this way. So that's one way that you can kind of go through and figure out where they went. The key thing is to get away from it. If you try to follow the trail in the middle, you'll never keep up with it. It's super, super hard. And when I get up to the top of this hill, I'll turn around and we'll look at it, and you'll see why it's so hard to keep up with. So look at all of the blood. So that's one animal that's been shot, just pacing around in that area, leaving all that blood. You're not going to easily follow the trail in all them circles and not get lost. So save yourself the trouble, back out, walk the perimeter of it until you find where he takes off at. And if you walk the perimeter and you never see him come out anywhere, you don't have any blood coming out, that generally means he went down somewhere in that perimeter. And then you just have to walk around until you find where he's at, maybe in the water, maybe under a bush. You know, sometimes they're hard to find. But that's what you're looking for when you get into this type of situation. So I'm really glad we happen to have this one, because we haven't talked about that yet. Alright, so let's go pick him up. He should be dead now. And in this instance, we knew where he was going anyway, so it made it really easy. But you would see the line coming out as you circled it, and then you would know to go follow that line. And he's going to be dead over here, so let's just run. And again, the blood still looks the same. Big spacing. Dark red. Yeah, they're all medium amounts of blood clear. And I think my first shot was going to be terminal, and the second shot was just probably flesh and didn't do anything. I don't know. We'll find out here in a minute. I may have hit it in the artery or something. Who knows? So first shot, I'm very confused. Okay. I'm not sure where I hit him at. So I must have never found the initial shot, but found the second shot where we hit flesh. And that makes more sense. So flesh would be medium red, no impurities or anything. I was expecting lots of blood for the spine shot and being a quick kill. So this makes more sense. And it matches with the long run. And it would explain why the next shot didn't make any difference, because it was just adding more flesh damage, but didn't do enough to actually get a critical. Okay, so that makes more sense. So we were trying for the spine shot, which we hit solid. Just not anywhere near enough energy to get the kill, which is funny. Here, it didn't get the kill. Hitting it up here, it was an instant kill. So, I'm not sure what to do. I guess maybe I'll try to get something more powerful and try this next shot again. I don't know. I mean, we hit it exactly where we wanted to. We just didn't get enough penetration. So all the cavity damage occurred outside, and the penetration wasn't enough to do the spine damage. So yeah. But on a good note, we did get the flesh kill, and we were able to showcase what that looks like when they wander around for a long time. And flesh kill is a very slow death. He went 489 yards, and that's not counting all the circling. That's linear from where you shot him at, I believe. So yeah, there's a flesh kill. So I thought that we were looking at a spine, but no, it was flesh. So wasn't the one we thought we got, but it does what we need to do, and we know to try again on the spine shot. So we're going to wrap this one and try again for the spine shot, but not tonight. So that's another one for tomorrow. All right, so we've got one more to do. All right, we'll be back in a minute. All right, so we're back on this guy again. This time we're going to go for a flesh kill. So I want to try to hit him somewhere where I'm not going to kill him. Get 2 shots worth of damage in on him. And see if we can take a look at that blood. So we're going to shoot him in the butt and shoot him somewhere else. I think I probably hit him. Which way did he go? Do we see blood? Yeah, we got blood. So that should do it. Oh, I forgot to mark where I shot him at. If we did the flesh kill right, he's going to run a long ways. And he should just run and drop. There's our second shot where we hit him. Let's see what it is. Whoa. So medium clear, that's what we're looking for. So we shot him, he's going to run a long ways off. Our first shot would have been non-terminal. He'll survive. That second shot should do everything we need. He's just going to run a long ways. So let's take a look at the blood. That's not blood. Alright, so here, let's just put the rifles up. Here's our impact of the second shot. So that's our clear medium. Just red. Let me turn 100% off. So here's that big fat beginning with the dots to show the directionality. You can see it here where it turned. Again, same type of blood. And again, the same. And you can see, we'll turn on 100% to light up the dots. You'll see this is a much further gap than like a artery shot is. And it's not that dark, it's just your regular red. No food fragments, no air bubbles, nothing like that. And we'll pop a few markers down as we go. You just kind of see them. Here's more blood. Again, fat at the back, pointing the direction you need to go. We'll run this guy down. And with flesh kills, it's kind of like a gut shot. They run a long ways. We may get to him too soon and he hops back up, to be honest. Well, probably spun around for a second. That's just other trails. So normally with a flesh kill like this, what they end up doing is just running non-stop and then dropping. And if you give them time to actually die, then they generally just fall over. They don't wander around in circles or anything. So we got a little bit of a turn, so you can see the blood and the turn 100% off on the different texture. Did he get in this bush? Nah, he went through it, but he didn't drop blood in it. Dropped it beforehand. We'll throw some more markers down because we haven't put any down a little bit. Put these a little closer to show where it was at. That looks like him all the way up there. Yeah. So he's still 500 yards from here. So this is another example of why it's so important to make good shots. If you try to get by with just shooting and hoping, this is the type of tracking you're going to end up doing. Now, granted, here, well, let's see if we got anything interesting in the grass. See the different textures. You can see it on the grass here. A little bit on the grass. No bushes or anything. But because of the terrain here, it's easy for them to just kind of go straight and run off. If this were in some steep valley or whatever, they'd be bouncing all over the place. Not just doing a couple turns here and there. But you can see the spacing is staying pretty consistent. Let me put hunter sense on so you can see it in the longer run. And you can see how it's kind of staying the same. And he's going to turn up here. Oh, no, he didn't. He's going to turn somewhere up here and get... Oh, he's still alive. Good lord. Alright, so we definitely spooked him this time. So here's where he made a turn. And he came up here and laid down. And that's the one thing that kind of, to me, stands out, is there's not a big pool of blood where they lay down at. I would like if they were to add, kind of like when you shot it, a bigger pool of blood to show where he laid down. But we'll mark some of these where he moved and then we spooked him. I'm surprised he's not dead yet, though. Alright, so he's down again, way down there. Let's see if he gets up again. Now, mind you, I'm not marking these because I'm afraid of losing him or anything like that. Dear Lord, he's still going. This is just to showcase what the actual trail looks like. And keep in mind, when you are tracking stuff, what we're doing here is the worst thing you can do. Getting him to spook again and again, that will just make him run further and further. So here, another turn. He may actually be dead this time. Let's see. Yeah, he's done. He's done. Oh, hit these. But yeah, you want to be slow in your approach. You don't want to just go take off running like we've done with him. And then here's where he finally dropped at. So if we look at the map, you can see how far this guy went. And you can tell where we jumped him and made him change directions. Like he was down here, he went down here, but that's a long ways. And if we look at the overall distance, it's 1,000 yards. that's a long ways. But our first shot was exactly what we wanted, just some flesh, no organs. Second shot, just flesh, no organs. And I mean, we did a lot of damage to the flesh. You know, we hit it with a 338. It's not like we were shooting him with a 30-30 or something. We were hitting him with a big round. But this is exactly what we wanted. We wanted to showcase what the flesh kill looks like and kind of talk about the benefits of making a good kill versus a flesh kill. And granted, the distance fled wouldn't have been that far had I not jumped him, but that's what you run into. If you take a flesh shot or take a shot that ends up being flesh, even if you do a couple to get there, you're looking at a long ways to track. It's kind of like a gut shot. They go a long ways with those. All right, so I think that's going to cover everything. We got into the heart and double lung shot early on. They die quickly. They don't go very far. You can obviously get the instant kills in any of the organs. That's totally different, though. We're not looking at that. We're looking at blood and tracking. So we got that. We did the single lung, the medium, that's pink with air bubbles. We did the stomach shot, so we got the medium red collared blood with food bits. Even though the first one I thought was on grass, that was just the food. So keep that in mind, that was just the food. I should have looked at the rest of the collar, it would have been obvious, but whatever. I don't normally get a lot of gut shots, so I did not diagnose it very well early. We did the artery shot. That was a little harder, but we got the medium pink, no air bubbles. We also got the liver. That was the most difficult that we actually accomplished. So that's medium dark red. And that's the one where the blood is, the artery, I should say, is the one where the blood's really close together. I didn't mention that. The blood's splatters are much closer together with an artery shot. Not with the liver, it's just really dark. And in this particular environment, the liver blood really stood out. We tried to get the spine that they were able to survive, a lethal spine shot, so they would walk away and die, but I could never get it to happen. I tried several times, different weapons, different rounds, even tried using the shotgun slugs to try to get into the right range, and no matter what I did, I just could not find a way to get it to work. So that's it. There's nothing else to cover. I would like to thank Lanny again for putting together her quick cheat sheet for decoding the blood. It doesn't really matter a ton as long as you're getting the consistent blood on the ground. You're getting, the long several spots of blood, not just 4 or 6 or whatever, but you get that constant path. Doesn't matter whether it's a lung shot or a liver shot or just skin. As long as you get that consistent, they're going to drop. It just changes how far they're going to go, their likelihood of getting up, things like that. So the more terminal your shot is, the shorter they're going to run. And that's not really part of this, but just in general, the harder you hit an organ, the shorter the distance they're going to go. So Toothless has discovered 4 levels, basically, of damage that changes the distance that they run. So that's something to keep in mind when you are tracking things. They may run a long ways or it may be very short. Just keep in mind to follow the blood. And when you're first learning, put down some tracking markers. Not so much for showcasing like what we did here, but just so you don't get lost. And we picked the easiest place to track blood here. So this was on purpose. I wanted to go somewhere where the blood was easy to see and we could easily follow it. We could go somewhere into the woods and shoot something just to showcase how that looks. But the concepts are all the same. It doesn't really matter where you shoot something at. Let's jump over here. Now we don't have any way of redoing this if we mess up. We get the 338 and we've got the 3030. So I've got a bad combination of weapons. If I do anything with a 338, it's going to die immediately. Let's see. Let's go to the Jeep and change out to the 270 or maybe the 308 even. I don't know. So let's go. Let's do the 308, and then we'll take the 270 as a backup if we see something bigger. Alright, so that should do us. I have no idea where anything is right now. Noon, there should be something around the water. Let's pop up in camera mode and just find something to shoot. Don't care what it is. Oh, there we go. We've got a Cape Buffalo. So let's see if we can get a shot on one of these guys and have to... That's not a buffalo, that's a pig. I was looking at something else earlier, I guess. Alright, so we'll go with the mono block on a pig. Doesn't really matter which one. Oh, hit my mouse wheel. Nah, we're not going to do the R-Log. We'll stay with the mono block. Alright, and we'll just try for a decent lung shot here. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So we're not even going to watch. We know that they're going kind of southeast. But we're going to go just do a regular... Well, if I hit the right buttons here. There we go. We're just going to do a tracking through the bush. This is going to be much more representative of what you would really see anyway. The dunes were just great for doing the example. And hopefully we got a lethal shot. We'll find out here in just a minute. So here we go. Alright, so just by the size of it alone you can tell this is going to be lethal. You can see it's pink and splotty. That's going to be our air bubbles. So this is perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn Hunter Sense on just to make it a little bit easier. And we're just going to follow this blood trail. Let me turn all those blue dots off. Get rid of them. We don't need all that. Where are they at? That'll work. Alright. Let's get them out of the way. So here's where we hit at. So we're going to mark this as our starting point. We would have already had it marked. Here you can see in the grass. It's a great example of how it goes in the grass. And you can see the directionality. This is that little arrow looking one. Here's another one up into the grass. That's more the brushed looked one that we talked about. Here, this one's just on the ground. And now we don't see the next one. But if we let our Hunter Sense flash, so here it is. We looked that way, we saw a flash right there. And I'm not going to get into tracking without Hunter Sense, because that's more than a beginner's guide. That's getting into Ranger mode, and if you're choosing that route, you're probably not interested in a beginner's video on tracking blood and all that anyway. So there's that little hook one, check mark, whatever you want to call it. Again, telling us to keep going this direction. There we see the next one, the next one. Now if we turn Hunter Sense off, you can still track without Hunter Sense, just using that directionality. So there, we know the next one should be somewhere in this direction generally. We're going to go ahead and mark one. Here's where Hunter Sense really gets handy when you get into stuff like this and it's hard to see the next one. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on just because, like I said, this isn't for learning how to do Ranger. And our next one should be this direction, and I think I just saw it flash right in there. Yep, see? But it's exactly the same thing whether you're in hunter, ranger. Now hiker is different. We'll showcase hiker here in just a minute. But you can see the ranges here. Got blood here, here. And we're going to pick up the pace and just follow the direction that these blood spots are facing. We'll throw down a mark here every now and again, just in case we get going too far and lose it. So there's a slight turn here, so he may be getting ready to turn. Nope, going still this way. Ah, here's a turn, but he's down right here. So there we go. So if we take a look, it was a nice single lung shot. He ran 238 meters. And we didn't spook him or anything. That was just a regular run on his own. But that's all there is to blood tracking. So that's pretty simple. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this exactly as it is. And we're going to change difficulty to hiker. And I'm going to come back and we'll track him in hiker mode and show you how different it looks in hiker. So give me just a minute to get out of here and change difficulties. So we're going to go to story. We're going to change all the way down to hiker. And then we'll have to fast travel back to that zone. But we won't have to shoot again. The blood will still be there. Alright, so we were up here. Where are we at? Right here. Alright, so we shot him over here. So we're going to run on over. So we're turning on hunter since we're about stuck. There we go. We're about 75 yards from where we hit at. And we're just going to walk on in at regular speed with hunter sense up. And assuming nothing weird happened, you should see a pretty significant and easy way to track blood. And it's starting to pop in now. So it's kind of hard to tell from here. But you've got these giant cones. So it's hard to tell. It looks like it might be on the tree. But this is actually a cone sticking up. And you'll see there's another one here, another one here. So let's get on over here to it. Alright, so there's our blood. And there's the giant cone sticking out above it. And you see in the distance more giant cones. Now when you get right up on them, they disappear. But this is what tracking blood is like in hiker mode. So if you're ever in a spot where you just completely lose the trail, you can't figure out where it's at, you've circled around, you've done all the things you can do to find the blood, and you just can't figure out where they went, this is the... And we'll go do one around water, probably down in Nez Perce, just to show how that kind of works, or try to anyway. But you can see it's really hard to not be able to find them with hunter sense on in hiker. You turn hunter sense off, it's like normal. There's no big towers. But yeah, if you can't follow these guys, you're not going to find anything. You also get the giant glow over all the animals. You still get that with birds in even hunter, but all the animals have it for hiker. But you can see that's about as easy as it gets with the big cone sticking up. Can't miss it. All right, so let's jump out of here and let's go to Nez Perce and shoot around a creek and showcase what kind of issues you run into around blood there. Alright, so we're in Nez Perce. It's a little after 12. So we're going to run down and try to find a deer in the water. And take a shot there. I will, however, pause it and make a backup before I shoot, just in case they run the wrong way or something like that. But all we want to do is find something down in the water. So there should be some deer somewhere down right there. So those deer there are the ones we're going to use. So we're going to get close enough to get a good shot on them. I don't want to be so close that I get an instant kill. I want to get a single lung that they walk off with. So we'll stop things down here once we get a decent line. I think we're going to be right over here. No, I guess I was wrong. Maybe a little further to the left. Yeah, there they are. So we'll get on top of this little hill here. That'll be close enough, I think, for us to do what we need, but not so close that we just destroy them. Alright, yeah, so there they are. Turn hunter sense on. They're nice and calm. We'll take one of those out here in just a minute. Alright, so I've got my backup, so if anything goes wrong with this, we can try again. Oh no. I didn't think about changing gear. Well, probably going to have to make a change. I'm going to try to go for a high lung shot and see if I can just clip the lung maybe. Oh, nope, that dropped him. I missed. That may have worked. Let's see if there's any blood up through there. I don't see any, so I don't think we got the shot we needed. We definitely hit him. We had good blood. I marked it right there. It almost looks like there was blood leading up to it. We'll go check it out. That may be everything we needed. I forgot that I needed to change weapons. I think we're still in hiker mode though. We'll find out here in a minute. So let's see what we did to this first one. She went down quick, but let's see what we did. Oh, it was a he, not a she. Oh, I was way low. Why was I so low? Oh, we were 224 meters out. I think I was zeroed at 100, so it should have been a little lower, but I just was not very low. That was just a good shot, not what I wanted to do. You see there's some blood over here. Let's see if we would have had a critical shot, if you can tell. Red, small amount of blood, clear. So that's a sign that it's not going to be terminal. Now we have some more blood over this way. I don't know which one I hit to get this blood started, but we definitely hit something. So here we go. So medium. So this is perfect. This is perfect. This is a lethal shot, and I think I shot him a second time. But if we turn the hunter sense off and we're just following the blood, when it gets down, this is a pretty skinny stream, but when it gets down to the water, there's no blood. Here, we turn it back on. There's no blood where they were in the water. So you see we've got blood all over the place to right here, and then no blood again until he comes out over here. I mean, it's not a long ways, but you can imagine in a bigger creek, or if they run up the creek, that becomes a problem. So that's where when you run into the creek, you have to kind of start looking on both sides. So you're generally not going to find the blood in the water. You're going to have to walk the sides and look for the blood, and that's where hunter sense really comes in handy. But look for blood along the sides. Okay? And you can see obviously here it starts up again. We've got the blood going this way. Now, if this were not in the creek, and we had just found this first piece of blood, these are so close that it's not going to really give a good example, but if you can't find the next blood, so you have it marked here, just start circling out. So just make concentric circles, and just keep working your way, I'm like doing half, but just keep working your way further out, and eventually you'll run across the blood. So I'm just doing half of it because we know it's not going the other direction, and you can kind of do that, look the direction you think they went, but just kind of keep circling back and forth, and eventually, as long as you're looking, take your gun down so that you can see better, but eventually while you're circling further out and further out, you're going to run across something that's going to look like blood. And it may not be right exactly where you're looking. You may see it further up or further down or whatever. Like I know there's blood right around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. But if I'm not looking right at it, I'm not going to see it. So you may make passes and just go right past it without ever noticing it, and then maybe you notice it up on the hill or something like that. That should make it easy for you to pick out where we were just looking at. So you got blood right here. You got blood up here. Anyway, so we follow these. And again, same thing, we're using that directionality to know which direction he went. Here's another spot where we hit him. That didn't do anything. That was clear blood. May have been a different deer. Who knows? So here's blood. Now this is convenient. So this one was turning, and you happen to have two close together. So that makes it easy to pick up. But you can see you've got that straight line. So the big thick in the back, and then your directional line. Here, that line is turned. And if you just kind of look that direction, you can see right here's another one. We just follow that line. Right here's some. Okay. And you just keep following the direction it tells you to go. And we're going to leave hunter sense off and try, let me put a blue mark, and try to kind of lose it so we can look at finding it again. Oh, so that's not blood. That's berries on this little flower. Okay, so we've lost the blood. We don't see it anymore. We know that they're going this direction, and we know that that's the last spot we saw it. So we're going to start kind of doing our concentric circles. Now I'm going to do half circle because we know he went this way. But we're going to slow down and just kind of look around as we walk this direction. And we're looking for anything red that's going to stand out as blood. Yeah, thought we would see it for sure right there, but we didn't. So let's turn back. Still don't see it. And we're just going to keep going back and forth until we pick up the blood again. Now I would actually go a little longer, but for the sake of examples, okay, we just can't seem to find it. So now we're going to go back to the last place we had it. And that's where marking when you get lost on blood is really handy. Alright, so we're looking at the directionality. We know it should be this way, so we're going to try just to slowly kind of walk this way and see if we can't find the blood. It may be a turn, or who knows. But we're going to follow that directionality. Oh, looky here. Right there we go. There's our blood. And we just walked over all that and missed it. But because we had marked it, we could go back to the spot, follow the direction, and pick it up again. So we've got blood right here. Oops, let me mark it. And we'll kind of keep going that same direction. And I've went to slow mode now because we're struggling to find the blood. Oh, right there's some more in front of us. Right here. Now imagine with Hunter Sense on, you would have, well, I'm in hiker mode, but you would have the flashes, which would make it easier to find. But that's it. That's all you do. You just circle around, go back, try again, look at the direction it's going, and eventually you'll find it. It doesn't, if it's a lethal shot, it doesn't just stop. It'll be there. So we're going to kind of pick up the pace, run up through here. And there's other tricks about how to find animals, like looking at where their herd is and all that, but we're really focusing more just on tracking blood. So I don't want to get too into the woods. Oh, this is a great example. Let me turn Hunter Sense off. Oh, he died. Never mind. Let me turn it back on. So this, if he hadn't died here, would have been a perfect example of one that would be really hard to track because he just walked around. Look at all the blood where he was walking around pacing. There's blood everywhere. Had we been quicker, then he would have got up from in here and took off. And this is where you would have to go through and mark the outline of the area that he's in. So we would come in, we'd mark here. We would see that he went down this way, so we'd start marking out here. He went all the way over here. So we would mark over in here, mark over in here, and we're just marking the outside edge of wherever he was wandering around. And eventually, what you would do is you would find that there's a place where the blood shoots off in a different direction. So we've got all this marked really well. We bring up the, I changed my we bring up the map, you can see we've just made a big circle here. And this is where we shot him at and where we tracked him. But we made a big circle up here. And somewhere around the outside of that is where you would find the trail going out. In this case, there is no trail going out because he died right here in the middle. But that's how you would approach it, just like we did in Tikamoon. Yeah, Tikamoon. You just go around the perimeter of it, mark your lines so you know how far out he goes, and eventually you'll find that somewhere one takes off kind of like he comes in, but one will take off in a different direction. And that's how you can find them when they pace around a lot but haven't died yet. So let's look at this guy, see how many times we hit him, all that. We hit him twice. Oh, we hit the artery on the first one. And the second one was just more damage, nothing of any interest. But you can see that when we were tracking him, it didn't matter. It didn't matter what type of blood it was. So we were interested in the blood itself. Pink, medium amount. But again, it doesn't really matter what type of blood it is. As long as there's blood on the ground, that's what you're after. And it doesn't matter what type of of blood it is. They all have different directionality indicators, and all you have to do is follow the lines that point you exactly the way they're going. Alright, I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap this up, call it done. I think we've covered as much about tracking blood as I can think of. If you have any questions, of course, jump into Discord or the video chat. Always glad to answer questions. If you have any other tips that you want to share on tracking blood, certainly post them. We're always interested in hearing new ideas, new concepts, maybe things I forgot to mention too. So, alright guys, that's it. We're done. Y'all have a great night. God bless, and happy hunting.